this sends out to all the participants, gives them a little bit of information. For instance, please post, or you could say, welcome to the BCA tournament. Please post convention card or play SAYC. And my understanding is when the tournament actually starts, whatever's in that welcome, it actually sends out to the players. The description is something that the players can get when they click on information about the tournament. So we're going to set this up for 24 boards at 18 minutes around. All right, so you asked about the time. You don't actually set a particular time for the tournament. You set the amount of time until the tournament starts. So let's assume that we're going to start this Friday at 1 o'clock. So today is Monday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's 3 days. You're going to, you're going to click down to time, and I'm going to put 3 days. And the hours would be something like 17.
Wow.
And you'll notice that it says 12:37 on Friday, March 27th. So obviously I'm 23 minutes off, so I want to change this to 53. And now it says 1300. It's a military time. I didn't design this, everybody. This is the way BBO set this up. But that is how I would set the clock to start at a 1 o'clock Friday. You have to tell it how many days and minutes until the tournament is going to start. The directors, so it will automatically populate you as the host. And then if you have other directors, you click the plus sign. And for instance, if I wanted to put in Drew, I would put in Canoes and hit return. And now he can modify the tournament, and he has director abilities on this tournament. And you can have 2 or 3 or 4 directors within a tournament. The format is pairs. I wouldn't recommend changing that. The next tab is format. So here's where you set up the boards. We're going to play 24 boards. Oops. 24 boards. So the system defaults to 8 minutes, which is crazy long. We've experimented with 7 minutes and 6 minutes. What we found is at the very beginning for new players or new to BBO players, 7 minutes makes them feel comfortable. For people that have played 3 or 4 games on BBO, 7 minutes feels like an eternity. I recommend for newer players, 7 minutes. For more experienced players, 6 minutes.
There's no half minutes?
I wish there was. I have a long list of things that I would like BBO to do, and I figured that'll wait until they have time. Right now, they are working overtime to get this up and running. So my wish list will remain a wish list until things settle down. Yes, it would be nice.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought their regular speedball is 4.5 minutes per board. So how are they achieving that if there's no half minute?
It's 5 as far as it's 5 minutes aboard.
So they're okay. So they're cheatling when they write 4.5. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's 5 minutes aboard. I mean, there's always a few seconds when you get to a new table and so forth. But as far as I know, unless they've done special programming, they haven't given us access to. It's 5 minutes.
Okay.
And you know, you'd think on one hand, it occurred to me, why play 3 boards around? Why not play 2 boards around and play more people? And then I realized that some boards are going to take longer than others. And by making it a default to 3 boards per round, some players will play quicker. You'll have more of a chance to get all 3 boards completed in the 18 minutes. Movement, clocked. Clocked simply means that the movement will occur at the end of 18 minutes, whatever you've set it as, or when every table in that section has finished first. You can change it to unclocked, but I don't recommend it because some slow pair could make everybody else wait around for 5 extra minutes. You probably always want to leave it clocked. Some of the other settings are not something that we would be using in regular club games.
What is Survivor?
So Survivor basically kicks out the low scoring pairs and the top pairs play each other, and it's almost like a knockout type event. Scoring, match points, obviously that's what we're going to be using 99% of the time. You can make it imps, but I can't imagine doing that. If we end up with rubber bridge, you can do total points. Barometer is automatically defaulted, and you want to leave that. That basically means that everybody's playing board 1, then board 2, then board 3, and then they move to another table and play board 4, 5, and 6. So it's a nice, it helps for whatever security you want in the event. Plus, you know what boards people are playing. Deal source. So this is something that I've spent a lot of time today with Jay. For those of you who don't know, this is what caused the crash today. We're not exactly sure why, but what happened was it was set up to use deals, hand records, and they had been deleted. So when the program went out to get the hand records, they weren't there. And instead of just creating random boards, the system crashed. BBO, there may be a bug in this. It is possible to use like common game hands. It is not an easy thing to do, and it is not intuitive. I recommend that all clubs at the beginning use random deals until we make this an easier format to use. If people have questions at the end, I'm certainly happy to go into what's involved in using saved boards. You actually create a folder and you put the boards in the folder and then in your archive in your account, and then you can select that folder here. But I've done it, but and I'll show you if we have time, but I want to move on to show the rest of the things. Options, don't click anything here. Basically, you don't want to allow undos. For those of you familiar with online bridge, OK Bridge was very big on undos. If you misclicked, you asked your opponents and they could give you an undo. Undos in tournaments require, it creates bad ill will. Some people will allow them, some people won't. I recommend not allowing them. What I do recommend very strongly is telling your participants, and I've put it in my emails, go into account settings and check confirm bid and confirm cards. And that basically means that you just can't click on a card and it will play. You have to either select it and then click it, or you select your bid and then select the bid column or bid button. And basically that stops 90+% of missed clicks, and it doesn't slow down the tournament at all.
Sam, what is the problem with allowing kibitzers?
I think it's a security issue. If the kibitzers can see all 4 hands, so if you're allowing kibitzers in a tournament, there's nothing to stop them from calling up one of the participants on the phone and telling them what everybody has. Now, granted, you could have partners on the phone, obviously. I've already had my players ask me, they thought so-and-so was cheating. We're not going to be able to control that now, maybe down the road, but I think allowing kibitzers just makes it more easy for cheaters. You're not going to stop them, but it certainly makes it easier.
Also, if you allow kibitzers, I can, play the tournament and open another tab and just kibitz myself.
Well, you'd have to have a second account, which some people do, and you'd have to have a second computer.
You can just watch anonymously.
Maybe. I'm not that familiar with it, but the idea is don't allow kibitzers. That solves that problem.
And don't allow chatting either?
So this is to the tournament. This is basically allowing players to broadcast to the entire tournament. I don't see any reason for that. They can broadcast to their table. They can broadcast to the director. I'm not sure there's any reason to have players say something to the tournament. Now, before the
Okay.
tournament starts, people can chat to everybody registered.
I didn't understand. Okay. I didn't understand that it was restricted just to, they can still do it at the table though. That's what.
Yes, yes, absolutely. They can choose table and they can talk to their 4 players.
Right.
But you can't do a private chat while you're playing, can you?
You can privately chat to the opponents at any time, and you can privately chat to your partner between rounds. In other words, if you've finished your 3 boards and you have 5 minutes left, the system is smart enough to allow you to say to your partner, "I'm sorry, partner, I made a mistake on that board, and I apologize." Of course, some players will use it to criticize their partner, but
No.
we can't have everything. Entries. So this is where you're actually setting up the number of entries. So if 40 entries is what the default is, that would be 20 tables. I can change it to 80, and that would give me a total of 40 tables. Allowing robots, we have not allowed robots because according to some of the people involved, the players hate them. I'm not sure about that. Allowing robots would allow robots to handle, if you had a half table or if you had somebody who didn't have a partner, they could play with a robot. Most of the tournaments on BBO, just through sheer experience, do not allow robots because they feel like the players don't like them. So you would unclick it. The type is a code from BBO that actually lets you set an entry fee. My understanding, I think, is, and it's in the PDF, but it's going to be BBUT, and that will actually allow the clubs to set an entry fee. The entry fee is in pennies. So if you wanted to set it at $5, it would be 500. Let's see if it actually lets me do this. Seems like it will. It might give me an error when I try and create it. If you wanted to make it $10, you would put, well, 1000, and that would be $10. Stars play free. I think that's only an individual when they're looking for good players to come and play. I wouldn't worry about that. Now, the one issue down here is going to be include custom list. And that's basically going to let only your players play in this event. And that's through your include list, which is, again, I'm not sure how this is going to work. The BBO is modifying this on the fly, but you will have a list from the ACBL of everybody that's played in your tournament. The last I heard will be of the last year, and they'll be allowed to play in your club tournaments. And you'll manage that somehow through this include, exclude. Oh, there we go. Now it popped up.
So
when I looked
did you
earlier.
have to enter each one of those manually?
I doubt it. Right now, I do. They haven't got this worked out, but my understanding is when you're set up as a host account, the ACBL will send a list to you, and I'm assuming it'll be imported into this through some process. Again, this is all, for those of you who don't know, Udi is back at work at BBO, and this is basically his baby, which we should be very thankful for because he had left BBO, and he is back now working on this project, and I have a lot of confidence that he will get this very, very quickly right.
Yeah, may I interject, if I may?
Yes, please.
This is Jay. Just to answer a couple of those questions. Each one of the private clubs will be strapped with, here, I can probably turn my video here. Each one of the clubs will be strapped with a fixed custom list. That list is going to be populated for your clubs and will include all the players who have played in your club face-to-face in the last year. So you will not be able to manage that. Now, technically you will be able to add to that list, but we're asking that you not use that, and within a couple of days that will disappear and you will not be able to add to that list. What has to happen is the players who don't currently have BBO IDs or don't have their BBO accounts set up properly, once those accounts either arrive and or are fixed, the BBO will be sweeping the system every probably hour to make sure that anybody who's added new information and who is on your list will be automatically added to your custom list.
So in other words, if they didn't put in their ACBL number the first time they signed up, or it was in wrong, they can go back and fix that, and then they'll be recognized. And I'm assuming that the lists are done by ACBL number, and that's how they're cross-referencing through BBO?
Precisely.
Thanks, Jay.
Quick question. Like when this first arrived, I had sent Sam my BBO sign-on, and then I ended up wanting to play with someone who wasn't a current member of Bridge Club Atlanta, but was. What if one player is a member of that club and wants to play with somebody who isn't? Is that going to be allowed or not?
So
No.
not in the club games. Now there is the Support Your Club game by the ACBL that are 3 of them right now, and they're going to be adding more of them as we continue. And those will be for any player in the ACBL across the country or the world. So you'll be able to play with those people in that game, just not your local club game. Jay, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Not at this point. You're doing a great job.
Okay. So at this point, you've got this all set up, and you're going to click on Create Tournament. And it says, of course, I'm not authorized to use this tourney type, which is right here, but I can create it once I change it back to 0 and take out that type. So in fact, it probably, we can go over, we can see the tournament right here. It assigned the number 6787. It starts at 12:59 on Friday, and I am the host. Because I don't have the permission yet from BBO, this will be considered a free tournament, and it'll just show up on the list. I'm going to delete it later. But I did want to talk about a couple things. So once we've got this set up, people can register. They'll pay with their BBO bucks. Here's some very, very important information for your players. Both players must be online to register for the tournament. This is not something that BBO sort of told us. This is something that Jay and some of us figured out just through trial and error. If one player is on and the other player is not, it will basically give a 30-second timeout. It'll be looking for that other player, and you basically get a very quick message that says, other player not online, timed out. So both players must be online to sign in. The tournament does not become visible to your players until 2 hours before the tournament. In other words, I can see the pending tournaments right here, the ones Boca Grande that Jay has set up and the one we just set up on Friday. But this one at 1 p.m. tomorrow does not become visible in the ACBL World of Tournaments until 11 p.m. Now, when this all gets going, BBO will actually have our own separate place. It won't be in the ACBL World. There'll be a separate club tab or something that shows club games, and you could probably search under the name of your club.
Yeah, we expect that to be right underneath ACBL World, and it will be a virtual club world.
Oh, good.
I know a lot
ask
of
a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I would, Sam, just go over something with me. So if I wanted to run the same game every day at the same time, I would have to go through all of those steps. I can't copy and paste this or put it on a repeat for every day so that I don't have to go through it.
So
Oh, there it is. Okay.
there is a copy tournament feature. We can try and see what happens. I don't know. Let's see. Cannot create tournament. You have exceeded your tournament limit. Apparently, again, I don't have the permission of a full host, but my guess is that they will have that fixed, and you'll be able to copy the tournament and set it up each day.
Okay.
And I might add that in phase 3, and there are about 5 phases, all of which you'll be happy to know are going to take place in about 2 weeks. Phase 3 will incorporate some automatic scheduling as you're describing.
Okay. Thanks, Jay.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about is the actual directing of the tournament. I'm not the best person to do this, but I'm going to talk about it. I've been watching and observing Drew as he directs. It's not a lot of work. I sort of want to go through a little bit of the important issues. When the tournament starts, the first important issue is if you have a half table, what do? You could obviously let the half table and have a 3-board sit out, but that is not ideal. You can use robots, but other people have told me that players don't like that. So there is in the sign up on Bridge, you can actually choose to be a substitute. I'm speculating, but I'm guessing you can play in the tournament free if you're a substitute. Is that right, Jay? All right.
That's correct. That's correct. I'm sorry. I'm on mute, so you got to give me a little more warning.
Okay. So when the tournament starts, the director can click on the red empty seat and a list of the substitutes come up. You can try and select 2 players of appropriate skill to play with each other. The director clicks a player on the list, and that player may accept or decline. If they decline, you can keep on attempting to find a sub. If a player loses connection during the tournament, you want to wait a few minutes to give them a chance to reconnect, but you can follow that same process to click on a sub and bring in a player for them. If the original player re-logs in, the system, I'm impressed, it's really smart, will automatically reseat that player at the end of the current hand. So you don't have to go back and kick out the sub. The system automatically does that. Once the tournament is actually going, there aren't a lot of director calls. The most common calls are disconnects. And again, most times people get back in pretty quickly. If they don't, you might have to use a sub. Sometimes you have somebody that's incredibly slow, and you'll have a player call, and either you can whisper them, see what's going on, and disconnect them, obviously. Again, this is more issues with BBO tournaments. When we're talking about our club tournaments, we're going to know the players, and I think we're going to have pretty good behavior that you don't see in the anonymous BBO tournaments. One thing I noticed observing the directors, players will still call for undos. They'll make a director call and say, I misclicked, can I undo? In general, I don't recommend giving undos because it'll be abused constantly. Make the players confirm bids, confirm cards, and that solves most of the problems. And just say that they have to live with their misclick. If it makes the board totally unplayable, you can certainly adjust the board. There is when you click on a tournament, when it's actually running, I don't have a running tournament, so I can't show you, but you can actually go in and adjust a board. You can seat a player, you can disconnect a player, all sorts of things like that. At the end of each round, if players have not finished with the board, again, it automatically just shoves them to the next table, and you'll basically get a director call from each table. If there are 6 cards or less, they run a quick double dummy solver to create a result, and the director has the option to adjust that, or the player will call you if they think it's unfair, and you can look at it over the next round and make adjustments. If a table fails to start a board, they get an average result from the round.
Is that automatic?
Yes, the average is automatically.
They can go back and you can go back and do it. Just like I played in one the other day where we had a pair. I mean, me and my partner did not bid a single time. It took them the entire round, 3-board round, to play 1 board.
So the director can look at the history at that table, or the history of a player, or the history of a board. And if one pair is just being unreasonably slow, you can assign average plus, average minus.
Does the program tell you how long each player took on each action?
So you can look at the log. I've done that, and it'll actually show you every second what's going on. Like, you'll have a timestamp of each bid, a timestamp of each card played. So the director can look at that. It'd be nice if you had like a bridge mate where you could see each table and what board they are on and so forth, and you could whisper to them to speed up. But that goes in my wish list for the future. So, any questions?
Well, if you want to do a specialized game like I do the novices, can you restrict that on your list?
So that option is coming. One of the things when you click on the tournament, and by the way, once you have a tournament set up, you can edit it at any time. When you go into entries, you can basically include players by player level. And they are working on giving us the option of stratifying it or having a game for non-life masters or a game for 99ers. This is all going to be coming out, as Jay talked about, as different phases. They're working very hard on that.
What about partnerships?
So one of the things, there is a partnership set up for each tournament. Our daily tournaments, there's been 1 or 2 players in the partnership chair looking for an online partner, but we haven't had much success with that. What I've had success is just our regular club games. People call me or email me, say they're looking for a partner for tomorrow, and I know who's available, or I know so many people, and I've set 4 or 5 partnerships up over the last few days. Now, I suspect that'll grow more as more new players come in. Right now, we've had the real hardcore players who have their partnerships playing, but I think I recommended the club managers basically to be doing that type of work.
And if we have a house player, can we not charge them?
That's a great question. That was something, again, on my wish list for BBO. Yes, I would love to be able to have a standby pair if we have a half table and not be able to charge them. I don't think that's available yet, but it's certainly something on the wish list.
What about a house player and a robot?
Again, you could certainly allow robots and do that. I don't know that you can let them play free. Unless, actually, if they're in the substitute list, you get to choose the substitute. So I guess you can do that.
And who keeps the substitute list? Where is that kept?
The system does that. I think players can, let's see here.
I see 25 people in the partnership desk.
Yeah. Okay, now let's see. I was looking to see if there was a way to set up for the substitute. I know it's here somewhere. I've seen it, but anybody else know how to do a substitute?
I have no idea. Whoever has the phone ringing, if you can mute yourself, please.
Let's see. I do know there's a way. I just haven't figured it out yet. Let's see. Well, we'll figure that out and get more information.
Sam, as a practical matter for our club,
Yes.
You could just promise to give them a free play when we are playing in the club again. So
True, but it'd be easy. It'd be nicer. We don't know how long this is going to be.
Absolutely.
So it would be nice to be, and I'm sure there's a way to do this because I've seen players enter the substitute pool. Maybe you have to click on a tournament that's already running.
Maybe it's a player on his own that can do that.
Yes, it is for individuals on their own.
Well,
Right.
if I wanted to be a substitute, where would I go to say that?
Well, that's what here it is. Here it is. I just found it. So here's a pairs tournament that is currently running. Support your club. It was the 7:00 game. If you click on this, there is a substitute list down here. And if you click on that, I'm willing to be a substitute in this tournament. And then the
Okay.
director, if they have a disconnect or a half table, they can put you in.
Right.
So
And that's not available before the tournament starts.
it doesn't look like it to me. If we go to pending tournaments and I click on the tournament, I don't see that. I think
Well,
I
look
only
for pairs. Don't click on individual. Click on pairs.
Ah.
I think that might be the issue.
that's what comes up for a pair. I think it
Yeah.
is only after a game is started. I think the idea is you're supposed to put yourself in the partnership desk, and then after the tournament starts, you can become a substitute. I'm not sure.
Go to entries and go all the way to the bottom in that
Sure.
tournament, in the pair tournament.
Yep.
Entries all the way at the bottom. Maybe there's something there. No.
No.
No such luck.
So it looks
Gail-
like that it has to be a
Gail,
running
your
tournament.
phone's ringing.
Any other questions?
Quick question, not necessarily on how things are set up, but someone who's just never known the answer to the question. BBO does your strats based on your ACBL master point listing?
Yeah,
Is that
great
how-
question. Again, this will hopefully change when our clubs have more control. But right now, BBO automatically stratifies every game into 3 strats, and it is strictly based on your master points, and it is strictly based on the top 1/3 of the field is A, the middle third is B, and the bottom third is C.
They do that on average or top?
I knew you were going to ask that question, Marty. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
My guess is top.
Is that on your wish list for the club?
I mean, this is all so new that it's not that to me is not a major issue. So
I'm just curious, how often does it sweep to know what your points are from ACBL? Just curious how current the information is.
well, I'm sure it's sweeping once a month, probably more often than that. Jay can answer that better than me.
ACBL has a daily update of the master points, but generally they're stagnant from the month then before, but that process is changing with live, so they actually are going to be including pending points. But the truth of the matter is it's really not going to change dramatically the strats.
Right. And do you have an answer to Marty's question about, restate your question, Marty, if it was based on the player with the most points or the average of the partnership?
Hot off the presses from support at BBO, it's average.
Good.
Oh, that's actually good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So I don't know exactly the schedule. Jay is the only one that has any information on this, but my understanding is over the next week or 2 weeks, clubs will start to roll out their own games. We'll be able to eventually offer more than just an open game. We'll be allowed to offer limited games. And the main bottleneck is on directors and capacity. And BBO is doing training for ACBL directors who used to work tournaments are now out of a job. So those people may be looking for clubs to help out in. The ACBL is spinning up more of the support your own club, you support your ACBL clubs, and they use a lot of directors for that as well. So, but they are working as hard as they can to get this out there.
Is there a standard fee, or each club can set their own for directors?
So the directors that our BBO is providing right now work at $25 an hour, and the normal tournament is either an hour or 2 hours. If we go to 24 boards, that'll be close to 3 hours, and it's $25 per director per hour. So it'd be like $75 for a 3-hour
Who pays
tournament.
that?
Well, it comes off the
For
top.
private clubs, how is that going to be done, Jay? Do you know?
I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question again?
So am I allowed to change the pay scale, or is this done strictly through ACBL, or we're making this up as we go?
The expectation is you're going to provide your own director and manage the payment yourself.
So we can pay anything we want.
How many directors do you need by table count?
What I understand the experience is that when you're starting out, you really want to do about 15, no more than 15 to 20. When you get a little better, you're going to get up to 25. The best of them can handle 40 or 50, but those are highly seasoned, experienced players.
You're talking about tables, right?
That's correct. Sorry, did I say players? I meant tables.
That's okay. And Jay, if you don't mind answering, do we have a limit to how many tables we can put up?
No.
So what if every club puts up 50 tables and crashes the system constantly?
50 tables is not going to crash the system.
Yeah, but if everybody does it, right? You know,
I don't think a lot of clubs in the ACBL can run a 50 table game online.
Yeah.
And it won't happen overnight. It'll be gradual and they'll see the problem coming. And if they have to limit it, they'll do it then.
okay, fair enough.
The ACBL is not rolling this out to every club across the country all at once. They're going to be doing a graduated rollout with however many clubs the first few days and so on. So this is a process.
How do you know? You won't know until almost game time how many tables you have. How will you plan your directors?
Well, for most of our club games, we're not going to need more than one director for our size club. I mean, we're not going to have more than 20 tables, maybe 30 tables at the most. I can't even imagine that. I mean, honors might have larger games. I'm sure they will, but we're not. One director per game. And if we have limited games, we might want to have one director for each game. The system, we didn't even talk about this, but the system automatically handles the setup of the games. These are only Mitchell games right now, and it basically just sets up, and since it's a barometer, there's nothing to the movement. They are working on having howl movements for smaller games, but that's something that'll be in the future as well.
And one director do 2 separate clubs?
So I talked to Jay about this earlier. Like if you wanted to have an open game and a limited game, could one director handle that? And probably, but you'd want to set it up maybe staggered, have like your open game start at 1 o'clock and a 0 to 1,000 or a non-life master start at 1:10, because most of the game, you don't have a lot of calls. It's at the end of each round that you're busy. So staggering could help with that.
So Sam, how do I go about becoming a director?
We're going to find that out over the next week or two.
Okay.
We don't know that yet.
So will we have a special designation for private club directors?
Again, yes. You'll have a director tab like right here on your screen, but I don't know how that process is going to work. Right now, it's just whoever got in early got that designation, but the BBO will be opening that back up for the clubs to designate their directors.
So just a question, do we need a separate sign-on as director?
No, this is my regular screen. Your screen will have these 4 tabs and mine has a director tab, which shows the pending tournaments and running tournaments.
Okay, I didn't know if it behooved us to create another sign-on.
No, there's no reason to do that.
Okay.
Is there going to be something like a practice tournament for everybody to get their feet wet?
Well, that's what we've been doing the last
Right
2
off.
weeks, but I don't know the answer to that.
How soon were you fairly comfortable running one on your own?
So am I comfortable running one on my own? I'm not comfortable, but I've never done it, but I feel like I can do it. I've been watching Drew. I've been observing what is all involved. Your work as a director is so totally different than a face-to-face club. You're not going to be called for an out of insufficient bid, or a bid out of turn, or a lead out of turn, or a revoke. All that is gone. Really, your calls are going to be slowness, disconnects, and adjustments when the end of the round has players not finishing up. And that's why at the beginning, I recommend you start your games a little bit slower, 7 minutes, so you get through. And then as the players get more experience, go to 6 minutes, where you'll may have 3 or 4 tables not finished.
Okay. And for the players, it's seamless, right? So like what we're seeing, the results are going to come up the way they normally do, and in their history, and there isn't anything that we have to do or extra steps to post or send results.
No, they automatically get emails. I've been playing daily just to get a practice as well, see what the players are seeing, and they get an email. They can go to their history to see their tournaments. It shows you your recent tournaments. I played in the Support Your Club game. I've played in robot games, but you can see it breaks them out very clearly. Support Your Club, and it'll show like the Boca Grand if you've played in those, or your club games, and you can go back. It's very seamless for the player.
I might mention, if I may, the emails that have been going out are all based on interaction with the common game, and that's probably not going to be the case at the beginning. So emails will be coming back from Live for Clubs. So you're probably going to want to be able to turn on emails from Live for Clubs. The availability of the common game is not going to be as robust as it is for face-to-face. Primarily, we're standing down because we don't want to get in the way of getting this thing installed, and getting you guys up is far more important than the common game being available. But it'll come back.
But the end goal, though, Jay, eventually is to integrate it.
Well, I certainly want that to be true, but I am not going to allow any requirements on the common game's behalf to get in the way of getting the clubs up.
Okay, thank you.
Quick question on a little non sequitur there. When you're playing the game and after the round, it shows their results over there. Is that an option that the director can turn on or off, or is that always set to show their results after each round?
I think it just automatically shows it. Let's see.
I know I've had a couple of my partners saying they wish that they didn't see that, because some people, when they see that they're doing poorly, they start making crazy kind of bids because they don't care anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess if you unclicked barometer, you wouldn't see results because everybody wouldn't be playing the same boards at the same time. But I think barometer is a much more secure method.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree on that point. I just didn't know if you could turn off and on the specific showing the results after each round.
I don't.
If they could see the results without seeing the percentage.
Right. You know what I meant.
Well, these are really helpful questions, so we'll go back and research them and be sure to include them in the follow-up.
Thank you.
All right, this is very helpful. Certainly very interesting.
Sam, when you do direct your first game, will there be somebody there that you can call if you have an emergency that you can't solve?
Jay mentioned that, in fact, today. He said the idea is that the ACBL will have directors on standby, that if you have a problem, you can call them or not call but flag them on the system and have them come help you.
I would guess that would make it a lot easier to recruit directors for the club games.
So when do you anticipate us being put in as director status so that we can at least start watching some of these in action?
my understanding is in the next week, things are happening very quickly.
And
Okay.
anybody who happens to have the luxury of having on staff or access to a certified BBO director with the existing experience will find themselves getting the key sooner than later.
So we have to go out and kidnap BBO directors now.
Just saying.
When they ask me, Jay, I'm going to say, Jay told me this is the only way.
So
I think I
bounty
know a
on-
guy.
There is a new edict about gouging, so you better be careful here.
All right. I want to thank everybody for coming. And I hope I answered a lot of questions. I know I didn't answer all of them, but this is all very new to everybody. And it's certainly, I don't know how long we're going to be doing this, but it's a way for clubs to continue to exist over this time frame.
Okay.
Good job, Sam.
I don't know what your intro was on the Silvana, but I got to tell you that I am so excited and proud of this group that comes together to share resources in this time. Sam has worked on this project without any complaints. He's suffered through lots of accidents and mistakes and troubles and tribulations. And he has been a rock solid citizen and one of probably the best test drivers I've ever seen. So Sam, I really want to tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing, and having seen you bring all that back to the table and share it with everybody is really rewarding. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was awesome.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
you.
I do want to say one final thing that everybody should get a chuckle out of. I have tried to let everybody know that these are not my tournaments. These are Jay's tournaments, but you know, Club Bridge players, they don't pay attention. They don't know. And I had somebody say to me, I have a house down at Boca Grande, and the director said that Jay Whipple was, you know, the person behind Common Game, and he plays at your club. Did you name this tournament in honor of Jay? And I started laughing. And I said, yeah, this is Jay's tournament. He has been so nice and so kind to allow the Bridge Club of Atlanta's players to play in it, but it is indeed his tournament. And for those of you who, most of you probably know, Jay has been absolutely the person who has put BBO and the ACBL together to make this possible. If it had been left up to either one of those individuals or companies, this would not be out of the gate at all. Jay has been the one getting behind everybody and pushing them forward, and I can't be appreciative enough.
Yeah, I want a copy of that recording. I want to blackmail Sam.
I do have one more late question, if that's okay. I know that, you know, when you look at the names and stuff there, it's all their BBO names. Is there a way that you could insert there? I know you can, like on your personal list, put a little note who that player really is, their actual name. But it would be helpful, like as a director of a club game, to be able to see their actual names, because I'm not going to remember J732894. Oh, well, that's Marty.
So the list that ACBL will produce, I feel confident will have the player number, their name, and their BBO ID. And the directors will all have a copy of that list so they can cross-reference who each person is.
I was just curious if they would make it visible on the screen in BBO so that you're not flipping through papers, you know, kind of what I'm saying.
Well, some people,
That's a great suggestion, and we ought to add it to the wish list.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe have it that the directors can see that.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Directors, not individual players, but directors.
I would also offer that if anybody's interested, we've been offering up the ability to provide a list of all your players that are playing in the Support Your Club game. And that list is something you might consider using for marketing. It's sort of an exclusion list. You don't have to market to them because they're already playing. But on the other hand, you might want to get them over to the club game because you know they can play. And you can also profile them as people who are winning master points to try and encourage those who aren't there yet to get involved.
Okay, good.
Jay, can we watch the directors, the ones that are doing the ACBL, the training? Can we watch them, the training, or not?
That's going to be up to the ACBL to decide how they're going to expose you to those opportunities. I think that that's the plan. They're doing it for themselves right now as we speak, and they're doing a crash course, and their mandate is to share that with you all. So I think that's a wonderful suggestion. They've got marketing shadowing them so they can capture what we're doing here, and but their mandate is to get you guys all trained.
Okay,